We need to talk about this whole, oh, you're just taking Charlie out of context. Oh, that clip is just out of context thing, because it's bull. First and foremost, so many people, myself included, we have not watched clips of Charlie taken out of context. We have gone back and we have watched the whole clip. We have engaged in quite a bit of his content because we want to understand. We don't want to react to rage bait. But let's pull on this thread and pretend for just a second that, yeah, the clips that we're seeing of Charlie saying absolutely terrible things are taken out of context. What would happen in that case? Here's the thing that I have a unique perspective on as someone who has worked in marketing and content creation for over a decade. Most of us can agree that Charlie was many things, but an idiot who had no idea what he was doing is not one of them. So I pulled up Charlie's Social Blade, and this is just for his personal use. You can see here, his yearly estimated earnings are between 148K and 2.4 million. That's obviously going to be a little bit skewed since his viewership went way up after his unaliving, but even at the very bottom of the spectrum, 148K is more than most people make in a year. And just from Turning Point USA alone, according to Forbes, he got, I think it was 390,000 just from Turning Point USA in 2023. Fact checking myself there. Turning Point USA, his income just from that was 390,000. We're on Forbes. Now, where am I going with this? Media and content creation is a huge industry. Obviously, Charlie was very influential. He had a huge platform and he made a lot of money from it. And that's super important. Because here's the thing. Making money with social media and with content requires a lot of strategy. A huge part of my job is helping clients make more money from social media. And again, that requires a lot of strategy. It's a lot of effort. It's a lot of numbers, data, analytics, looking to see if I do this slightly different, does this make it better? If I do this, it's constant testing and adjusting and analyzing and testing and endless. It's endless. And it's also very intentional. Some might even use the word calculated. And when we're talking about divisive topics like politics, especially race-related issues when it comes to politics, gender-related issues, all of that, as we know, is very, very divisive. And we also know that there are a lot of people who agree with the very, very terrible takes that we've seen in these clips from Charlie. For example, the one where he talks about when he gets on a plane, if he sees a black pilot, he's thinking to himself, boy, I hope he's qualified, and then goes on in the rest of that clip to explain why he feels that way, even making the very specific comment that maybe he maybe he crashed 50% of his simulations. Yeah, he's still here flying this plane, which is not possible, by the way, but that's one example. So let's just, again, pull on this thread that, okay, it was taken out of context. There are so many clips that people point to that even I've gotten the response, oh, you're just taking that out of context. So many clips, dozens of clips. Several come to mind immediately, but there are truly endless clips that you can find of Charlie where people will push back and go, oh, you're just taking this out of context. So we've already established that Charlie had a huge presence. He was very successful at social media content marketing, and that social media content marketing is a very, very intentional medium, one that requires a lot of effort, a lot of thought, a lot of planning, a lot of intentionality. So it would stand to reason that the clips that Charlie and his team were creating on a regular basis were intentional. Like I said, marketing requires a lot of testing and adjusting, and especially with the high production value that he had, there was a lot of effort going into every single piece of content that he created. He didn't say things that make terrible clips taken out of context that are shareable and that perpetuate like wildfire on the internet as an accident. It's all intentional. So whether you agree or not that these clips are taken out of context, we have to look at the fact that they are intentional. Sure, someone once or twice can say something, spout off, maybe look off their notes and say the first thing that comes to their head, and it happens to make it into an episode. But constantly, but dozens and dozens of times, you guys, that's not an accident. That's not, oh, well, he said this one thing one time, he didn't mean it, that's not how he meant it. That is marketing. And he was very, very good at it. Honestly, I think we need to stop worrying so much whether or not Charlie was taken out of context in a lot of these clips, number one, if you actually go back and look at the clips, no, they're not. People who actually haven't seen the full clips are just assuming people have taken it out of context because that's become such a party line that is being towed right now. I would be willing to bet that the majority of the time, maybe not the majority of the time, but many, many times when people are saying, oh, you just haven't seen that whole clip in context, they themselves have not actually seen the clip, because seeing the clip in full context does not make it better. We need to stop asking, was he taken out of context? And if you do believe he actually was taken out of context, you have to ask yourself what that means. Because again, social media marketing and content creation is something that requires a lot of effort. And honestly, it's something that tends to push people more and more to the extreme, because the extreme stuff is what tends to get clicks, what tends to drive revenue. That's why you have these super immature YouTubers running around doing ridiculous pranks, because that is what get clicks and views. Charlie was very, very good at what he did, and he made a lot of money doing it. So if you truly believe he was taken out of context, ask yourself how that would be possible if it wasn't intentional. Because I guarantee you, this man had a whole team of people who helped with planning, with production, with social media, with all of it, because it takes a lot to run a successful enterprise. Ask me how I know. This is what I do for my job. Running a successful business is not easy at all. It requires so much intention. So ask yourself how someone who was so incredibly successful, who was so good at this part of the industry, how would it be possible for them to consistently be clipped and taken out of context with absolutely terrible things? It's not possible. It's just not possible. It's not possible at all. So what does that say about Charlie? What does that say about your view of him? If he and his extensive team allowed him to be taken out of context so many times with things he didn't mean to say and they were never addressed, is that not fishy to you? Is that not fishy to you in the slightest? Especially when a lot of the comments he was making are related to beliefs that a lot of people hold but feel they can't say. So seeing a clip of someone prominent in your political party confirming a secret belief you hold that's really negative about other people, clicks on clicks on clicks, while also perpetuating terrible, horrible ideas that, by the way, are completely contrary to scripture and the Bible and Jesus and everything he stood for. Again, first of all, no, Charlie was not taken out of context. Please go watch the actual full clips. They're not better. In fact, they're much worse. And two, if he actually was taken out of context, that's really not better, because he intentionally created these scenarios where these clips of him could go viral and drive revenue, drive clicks, drive views, and ultimately make him more money. And he made a crap ton of money, you guys. And as we know, money tends to corrupt. But that's another conversation for another